I am at Liverpool Street Station. I sit down on a bench next to a gentleman reading a newspaper. I start to eat my Whopper burger and he leans over to me and says, "Say, have you ever been stabbed?" This sort of thing, strangers starting random conversations, happens to me, Matt Rose, all the time. Just a few months ago, a woman marched over to me and said these exact words.
"Do you know the Havanese is the international dog of Cuba? Look at this. That's 300 million years old. Bye-bye."
What other nonsense have people been accosted with whilst minding their own business, I wonder? I was sitting in a park eating an ice cream when an well-dressed elderly woman sits next to me, puts her hand on mine, looks me in the eye and says, "You shall be a suitable landing pad." That was weird. A guy calmly said, "Hannah Montana," to my face and turned to steady walk away. Not my experience, but once some lady walked up to my mum while she was walking her dog and asked, "Is that one of them dogs with one of them heads?" Yes it is. Hey, what time is it? It's 3:30. Today or tomorrow? Sorry. I work at a pub and a person walked in and shouted, "Your yellow mustard scrunchie offends me," then went on to shout about babbles! You walk like a foreigner. 15 years later, and I still think about that sometimes. Holds up a Teflon pan in the checkout line. I never buy these. If you stick them in a bird cage with your birds, bird'll be dead in a day. I was waiting for the elevator when a guy approached me and asked, "Hey, wanna see something cursed?" and showed me a picture of mac and cheese flavoured candy canes, and then he walked away. He wasn't lying. I quote a homeless man on the street, "Have you ever farted?" I worked in a call centre on State Street in Boston, a financial district, and was outside for a break. This wild-haired woman catches my eye and says, "You're boring!" and she scampers into another building. I'm going to cut your heart out, cut out your heart. I hate riding the bus. A man stopped me in the street to tell me it was going to rain soon. That wouldn't be that weird, except for the fact it was already raining. Do you do MMA? You just have the kind of face that looks like it could take a punch. Guy making my sandwich at Subway. Me and my girlfriend walking the streets of downtown Atlanta just after sunset were approached by a man with an oddly polite way of speaking, considering the content. "Oh, hello, yes. Would either of you fine folks be interested in fucking me?" Or my girlfriend shook her head no. "What about you, sir?" I'm good, thanks. Once when I was walking to work, crossing the road legally at a crosswalk when the walk sign was up, a car drove by me and the driver yelled at me out the window, "Learn to fucking car!" I didn't want to say this when your girlfriend was
just
here,
had to stop
but
you and
I've seen quite a few. If you dig down half a foot, you can find crabs and eat them. Just some random dude and his wife came up to me, a child on the beach, to tell me that. That sounds like something an NPC in a Pokemon game would say. Today, more adults were spanked than children. I kept walking. Had a girl tell me I had lips like Jenny Garth. She then went up to my friend and noted that she had a nose like David Bowie. A gas station clerk told me I had Jesus eyes. A woman once told me I have skin like Princess Diana. One time I was informed by a stranger that I had a lovely purple aura. I wonder what you'd look like if you had all these traits. Sort of like the kind of face I imagine you picture just as you're going down under anaesthesia. Here, hold this. He gave me a bag of baby carrots and ran away. A man in a three-piece suit carrying a brown leather suitcase, looked like a banker, stopped in his tracks, shocked in front of me in the middle of a busy sidewalk and screamed looking at my denim shorts, "Bermuda trousers! How brilliant!" Yeah, that was a time traveller. Random dude on the bus said to me as we were passing a cemetery, "3 of my ex-girlfriends are buried there." Oh, okay. Grimacing face emoji! I was walking with a friend who was wearing a leather jacket. We passed an old woman smoking a cigarette on the sidewalk. "Nice leather jacket there, Jonas brother." "Look, lady," my friend began, but she interrupted. "Look, lady, bread makes me poop in your pants. You bleed well." Guy sitting next to me at the blood bank. Guy at the urinal next to me leaned over and said, "Powerful stream." A guy once said to me, "Wow, your hair grows really fast." I replied, "Oh no, not really." He replies, "No, it does. I've been watching it." Once a little girl at a gas station said to me in a very serious voice, "You have the wrong shoes." I felt like I was in a Twin Peaks episode for the next few hours. I had a kid walk up to me in a bookstore and whisper, "If you don't play play the dragon. He plays you. Scared the crap out of me. I was walking back to my dorm a few nights ago when I see this kid come whizzing by on a bike with some sort of random thing on his head that I can only describe as a basket attached to a ceiling fan attached to a stuffed animal human with a propeller on top of their head. As he went by, he yelled, "Don't worry, I'm only a figment of your imagination." Nothing to worry about then. Have you ever eaten a square cutlet? I failed a pap smear today. I just thought you should know. Did you put resistors in my brain? You look like a butter eater. I'm sorry. Then proceeded to just stare at me. Hey, I've got a pig at home with human teeth. I'm on a cruise. I'm washing my hands in a bathroom and this large Andy Reid looking dude with a thick Pittsburgh accent comes out of the stall and says to me, "You put your left hand and right hand out of two different soap dispensers. You get double the soap." I'm like, "Well, yeah." Guy wound down his window as he drove past and shouted, "There's a baby in your buggy," at me. Not sure why else he thought I'd be pushing a buggy. "Please pay us the jelly," said a drunk guy walking by me on a city street about 10-15 years ago. Turns out it was a line from this old commercial.
"Would you please pass the jelly?"
Now, it's my username. If you really need to protect a herd of llamas, you have to get a donkey. I have no involvement in anything to do with llamas or even livestock, but this information was vouchsafed to me on a bus by an old man, and it has stuck with me forever. "Hey, I Dr. Gumruff, your cool hat, and Tas Jack Sajadua, my friend." I was like, ha ha ha. I was riding my unicycle when a guy shouted, "Pop a wheelie." Not something a stranger said, rather they've done. A woman got in her car, took a big sip of a smoothie, then proceeded to open her mouth so her small dog could lap up the smoothie in her mouth. While I was shopping about 8 years ago, I had some lady come up and congratulate me for looking like Alec Baldwin. Mate, a feeling I know all too well. Then she started to walk away before I could say anything, turned around and said, "Stephen's always been the better one. You're just a no-talent ass clown. You look like Marilyn Manson." No, wait, Charles Manson. I used to work in a store and one time a customer asked me, "Has anyone ever told you that you look a little bit like Kevin Hart?" I'm 6'3" and white. Well, they only said a little bit. I was 14 years old, working at an amusement park, and 2 women and 1 man came up to me giggling. "You look just like..." "Oh my god, we shouldn't say it," said the one woman. "What? Who do I look like?" Thinking she'll say the name of some celebrity. "You look just like that girl that was murdered recently and buried in that man's backyard." I once passed some homeless dude holding a tray of eggs. He stopped me and asked, "Would you like an egg?" I responded, no thanks. To which his reply was, "Go on. Just a nibble." People like you think they're Russell fucking Crowe! No idea. Pulled up in a small coastal town in Scotland, got out of the car to stretch my legs. A sweet old lady wandered over and said, "Excuse me, do you have the means to kill a seagull?" Some guy came up to me at a bar once and asked me, "Hey, is your name Ned? I am tripping balls on psychedelics right now, and I think I'm seeing people's names." My name is Ned. Years ago, I used to shave my head. I was sat at a bus stop when a guy walked behind me and licked my head. He said, "Nice," and walked off. However, these bizarre interactions can be more wholesome than you could ever have thought. "I got kissed by an angel this morning," said an old man sitting at a bench. It turns out that phrase saved my life. Just as I paused to think and laugh at what he said, an SUV lost control of itself, hurtled towards me as I was just about to cross the street. I was able to jump away. If I didn't pause, the SUV would have hit me head on. 6 months later, I see the same woman walking into the same building and she says, "Still boring!"